All right, y'all, let's see how Helldivers 2 just humiliated every live service game. Let's get it.
Well, I hope only adults are watching because
Hey, and that's not something hard to do, by the way.
today we got to talk about a dirty word and Helldivers. The dirty word is FOMO. It's the fear of missing out. It's the engine that's powering
You know it.
gaming's worst impulses. Your gated skins, your timed purchase opportunities,
My worst crypto decisions.
your limited battle passes that expire and just have all your value and your purchase disappear away into the wind. It's all stuff designed to manipulate players into spending time and spending money. But here's the thing, right? In some recent weeks, we've seen something different. We've seen a game where FOMO is actually the point, where, quote, never available again is exactly why people played. And an example where it actually had nothing to do with spending money. Because I suppose in its most pure sense,
Yeah.
FOMO could be
If you really think about it, it's like you're paying like X amount of money to get items that you have to then dedicate a bunch of time to. So that game is soaking up your time and your money. It's kind of a crazy concept for like a limited time battle pass, right? You're paying money to temporarily have the opportunity to earn items. Fucking crazy, dude.
applied to a really good game of poker with your friends that, you know, you don't want to miss out on because it could be really fun.
What?
That natural sense.
Monopoly.
Where the FOMO is because something's actually good, and the thing that makes it good is the fact that it's not completely deterministic. Though, in this case, there's a few funny things on that. And here's the rub. More than 3 million people played Helldivers 2 during one single special week. And the reason why...
That's wild. 3.4 million players. That's around where Fortnite was hitting when they released like the first season 1 again, and they're on all platforms. That's actually really good. Imagine if this was on Xbox as well during this time. How many people do you have? 5 million, 6 million people playing?
is that nobody wanted to miss out on actually being part of the story. Usually when we talk about FOMO, it is about overt manipulation. It's about companies trying to grab your time, grab your money, and the last time we talked about Helldivers, it was literally FOMO for that exact reason. It was when they'd added the Killzone crossover weapons and cosmetics. They were only available for a week, they were at a cost higher than normal, and the reaction was fairly clear. People rebelled, they were angry. So what did Arrowhead do? Well, they ended up giving a second wave of content out for free, essentially a Christmas gift. And they also announced plans to revamp the in-game shop. Basically,
just that little gesture alone from the reaction of your audience, it already tells you that it has a level of care that's higher than most games, right? Like, you think Call of Duty would ever do this shit? No. They don't care.
They wanted to avoid that type of thing never happening again. And those plans actually just came true. That's because the latest update puts most time-limited gear in a regular store. That means that you can just buy it whenever, which is obviously good news. It's a company moving away from unfriendly monetization, and that deserves celebration. But today's FOMO story is actually a different one. This comes from Helldivers being a live service game, but in a way
got a whole
that
truck in
actually
there now?
uses the fact it's a live service to make it a better game.
Was it zombie? Wait, I didn't know it was. I thought Helldivers was bugs and robots. They got zombies in here now too.
The usual.
I don't know what's going on in Helldivers 2. I never played it. It's PS. I have Xbox. This is the only game that's ever made me like actually think, maybe I should get a PS or something, right? Like, obviously, like, it was a long shot. Like, I was not going to get PS just for one game. But it was, like, the only game, I feel like, in the hype around it. You know, talking about Mevlon Creek and this shit. And talking about, you know, joining up, right? Like, all the memes around and everything. The hype around the game. I feel like we haven't seen a game like that in a while. Other than, like, Battlefront 2. It was kind of, like, on that level. But I think it was even more hyped than the return of, like, Battlefront 2. But it was like one of those games where it's like, damn, I feel like I'm missing out on fun, right? Like a lot of times, like with FOMO and everything, you feel like you're missing out, like it's bad FOMO. But I feel like this is the first time in a long time that games like giving me FOMO for like a good, fun reason. You know what I mean?
Basically just edge you out until you eventually decide that you can't take it anymore and for some reason you buy something. Okay, let's talk about the defense of Super Earth. For months, Arrowhead teased something big. The newest enemy, the Illuminate, was coming. They were, in fact, heading straight towards Super Earth. And with the latest update to the game, they arrived. And this was a truly massive in-game
Damn, we got
event.
spaceships.
So
This
what
looks
did
dope.
players
Oh,
get?
dude, this looks dope as hell. I didn't know they had like alien shit in here. This looks like World of Worlds. War of the Worlds.
Well, what players got was huge new city environments, new mission types, new enemy variants, and a very clear system. Here's how the system worked. The attacking fleet of the Illuminate had limited resources. Over time, the fleet would destroy active locations on Super Earth, and this would happen at a set rate. Now, players could slow down that rate. They could also weaken the fleet by winning missions. Essentially, each day brought a group of locations for you to defend. Now, that meant that the player base had to spread out. They needed.
This is such a cool concept and so interactive with the player base that it keeps people playing. And the more people playing, then the more they enjoy playing the game, then the more likely they are to buy from your item shop. Right? It's like you take Halo, right? Yes, we're going back to it. But it's like if Halo was actually a good game and they still had all like the in-game purchases, the color purchases, like okay, if Halo Infinite was actually a game that was just like I just had to play it. It's so fun. A concept like this, then it's like okay, then I would consider actually buying a skin or a color or something like that. Also, this game helps that's in third person where you can actually see your character. But it's like if you have a game that keeps bringing people back more, then you are going to get a wider, broad variety of people actually buying stuff instead of just the 1% sweaty people like you have in Call of Duty. You know what I mean?
to juggle defending all of them within the time constraints that they were given. And here are the stakes. Once a city was gone, it was gone.
Damn.
It was destroyed by aliens.
Rip.
There was no going back. Basically, this gave real consequences. Previous defense events have existed, but they would let players surge back. Players could retake lost locations. Not this time.
So this
the
is
city fell, it was gone.
a
And do you know
purely
what?
defensive
This
mode.
plan actually worked. Helldivers became the #1 game on Steam in the US that week. 3.4 million people played during the defense. That's all clustered around one single week. But here's
Wow.
the real proof. Before this update, players averaged around 2.5 million per week. That's 900,000 more players. And those extra players were not drawn in by new
Like hearing all this stuff, I know it's coming to Xbox. And I could not believe when they said Helldivers 2 is coming to Xbox. I said, "There's no way." That's wild. Though, if I could pick one game, one freaking PS exclusive to come to Xbox, it would have been Helldivers. Like as much as I love Spider-Man games and everything, it's like I feel like we already kind of have some of the better Spider-Man games, like Web of Shadows and stuff, right? The newer ones, I don't know. It's like the Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 kind of just on steroids. From what I've seen, right? I'm probably wrong about that. But I was so excited to play this, dude. I think it's the 26th of
cosmetics.
August.
They were not drawn in by a purchase opportunity, by the fact that finally they could get a Porsche Macan skin for Diva in their Overwatch. It wasn't that. They came for the
the hell?
narrative. They came for the
Porsche.
emotional stakes. They came for a reason to play. Now, in a way, it's still FOMO, because the defense is over. Super Earth has been defended. But this time it's different. Players wanted to say, I was there. This could have been just another update.
That is the FOMO right there. I was there, right? I feel like I've missed out on this game too, man. I can't wait to freaking join it, dude. I cannot wait to play it.
And it would have had the same pattern as always. Players log in, play some rounds with new enemy types, try new mission types, and they log out. And of course, when you look at Steam, we know that player numbers spike whenever new content drops. That is, of course, fairly normal. Sometimes players will come back later
That's every
to
game.
do it all again with another update, and of course they do. We literally have got the stats. And Arrowhead, of course, gets to reuse the enemies and the locations. It's all got fairly typical by now. I mean, as an example, they've already expanded the city environments over to Terminid planets. And to be clear,
That's
those
awesome.
mechanical updates to the game do actually matter. Last summer is even a perfect example of it actually mattering, because even Helldivers players, they're okay with repetitious content. Even they get tired without.
Well, with like they do an open world really well to where even though it's repetitive, it's kind of it can be a unique. It can be unique every time you play it. You know what I mean? Like it's not set in like a streamlined thing. Like, oh, you have to go down this hallway, you have to go like this. And if you play with different people, playing with different play styles and everything like that, that open world and open like class or type play style availability, I think helps with replayability a lot, you know?
new stuff to do, right? No new missions, no new weapons, no new upgrades. Guess what? Players leave. We see it in the Steam data. And by now, we're all very used to this type of development pattern happening with almost every game that we play. But you see, it's the context that's absolutely everything here. Players have got to believe something about Helldivers.
Plus, just the whole atmosphere of the game makes you feel like you're in a movie, you know? Absolute cinema, as they say.
And they have to believe it with no proof from Arrowhead. And if they don't believe it, the concept of the game falls over. What would happen if players did not stop the Illuminate? What would happen? Would it actually matter? Players basically had to believe the stakes were real. If they didn't show up, if they didn't hold the line, they would lose the planet. And if you want to know a secret, they actually could have. Super Earth could have fallen here. It's fairly neat how all of this shook out. Datamine footage shows cutscenes for if players failed. And the upshot of those cutscenes is that humanity would need a new HQ. Maybe they would have to retake Super Earth later on. Basically, it would have been a whole different story. And most of the players who played this did not.
I really wish more games did this. What I just said like 5 minutes ago, the interactiveness with the community, and it brings the community together, right? And it's like you have a community over here. It's like, oh, that's having a lot of fun with something that's interactive in the game. It draws in everyone else from outside the community because it's like, hey, what the hell's going on over there? You got all these people talking about, you know, this and that. I was there, and it draws in every player around, you know?
Know for sure how far
something that like no games have anymore.
Arrowhead would go, unless of course they looked at the leaks. But what matters here is they seemingly trusted Arrowhead not to cheat them out. Why? Well, they had seen how Arrowhead reacted before. As an example, remember when players saved a fictional children's hospital? What you might have forgotten is they chose that children's hospital over getting a new stratagem. Arrowhead honored their choice. They did not get the new stratagem. And Arrowhead had, of course, seen the mythos that developed around key battles. As an example, Malevolent Creek. That's burned into all of our memories. So basically,
I didn't play this game, but
Arrowhead took this universe seriously. And because Arrowhead took it seriously, players took it seriously. And if you want to know what player buy-in looks like, quite simply look at Equality on Sea. On a meta level, the ending seemed rather clear. The capital city, Prosperity, was the last location activated. Perfect timing, and it's also where Arrowhead are based. Narratively, it's essentially the perfect ending. But here's the thing about live service events. Players don't always follow the set narrative. For this, enter Equality on Sea, the megacity that is based on Shanghai. This was the last defendable city before Prosperity. And when Chinese players realized this, they went into overdrive. The city's defense rating
24/7, baby.
Global players saw a story forming, and when they did, they joined in. Equality on Sea did not get weaker. Its strength spiked to 97.9783%, which is humongous. Now, unfortunately, the emotional buy-in has a little bit of a flip side. A badly translated mission objective confused Chinese players. They actually thought they could liberate their city. When they couldn't, well, Helldivers 2 got over 4,000 mega reviews on Steam. Those players felt cheated. They thought that Arrowhead, quote, broke the rules.
Wait.
They hadn't. It was a misunderstanding in this case, a mistranslation. This was an event the players couldn't win until defeating the Illuminate fleet. But it does show something important.
They can only defend it, not liberate it.
The depth of feeling that this FOMO-powered event created in people. People believed in consequence here. They believed their actions mattered. And when the dust settled, Arrowhead actually decided to respect that. The last remaining cities were Equality on Sea and Prosperity. We have to presume that Prosperity was the intended final city, and basically Arrowhead could not have predicted this. They could not have predicted that a bit of a mistranslation confused a whole bunch of an audience, leading to a spike in player activity. And of course players themselves couldn't have predicted this, that it would go the way that it did. But now, everyone has a story. Everyone gets to pick up the pieces together. Arrowhead resets for their big next event, and they do so from a position of strength, having actually had something went wrong. But then the credibility boost of incorporating that into their story. That is actually quite powerful. That makes a game feel real. Though of course something looms over all of this. Is there another lever they can pull that's anywhere near this powerful? Because in this case, it was defending Super Earth. It was literally defending the entire thing that the Helldivers essentially exist to defend. That's a hard act to follow. But the thing that'll matter here is now players have got somewhat of a sense of what they will miss out on if they...
Yep, and that's that community unity, man, for a cause in-game that they can change.
They decide not to tune in next time. And now I'm going to make the largest point, the thing that actually matters, because when you or I think of a live service game, what do we think of? We think of store events, right?
I wouldn't be surprised if this game continues to have its higher and higher peaks, because like this, like every event, you know, like what he was just talking about, like where you have like the extra player base joining in to help defend their actual city. It's like you're going to continue to have this kind of stuff, these impacts, and you're going to bring in more communities, especially when they come with the Xbox, dude. And then they have more of these communities, like even when they do cover all platforms, right? That sense of a community and being together is going to, I feel like it's going to keep peaking.
Right, we see live service as a way of operation,
maybe not
a business model. And obviously it is those things. But this is it as a game. And this is what online multiplayer games can actually offer. And in a way, there are loads of stories of things like this happening.
Oh
Some
shit, you got
of them are
bayonet.
not intentional, like the corrupted blood incident in World of Warcraft, the Falador massacre in RuneScape, the assassination of Lord British in Ultima, and then of course there's this as intended with EVE Online and the countless insane stories. I mean, hell, even Fortnite sometimes gets this with its concerts and its narrative moments that are pretty damn powerful player engagement tools. Basically, they end up...
Bro, I watched that Star Wars event, that one with the Death Star, that shit. No, I played it. I played it off. I didn't stream it. It was just like, okay. Their events are just always kind of a letdown. Sometimes. Most of the time.
Being events that players talk about for years. And if you missed it, you know what?
What
that
the
kind
hell?
of makes the thing matter. If a new event is something that you can always access, is it going to be exciting when a new one drops? There is something to say about permanence, and if we want meaning in our games, well, if something is abundant, always accessible, how does it really end up having meaning? And if everything has got to be some little isolated, airlocked off thing, how can you have meaning?
Yeah, if they keep doing these events to keep having like high player counts, right? It's like you're going to keep giving these players these events, and eventually the events are going to become meaningless, you know? It's like you have to space out these huge events, like a perfectly distance apart, and you have to just accept the lower player count in between those events. You know what I mean? Otherwise, you keep doing events like rapidly, you're just going to have a lower player count. Like obviously it's going to be higher than the low between the events, but overall it's like you're going to stop having those peaks, you know, and stop having that. And with that, you're going to lose that like hype around the game, you know, that brings in new players.
I mean, as an example, if a game is going to change because something happened, say an event like this, well, that means that the game state has actually got to change. Change means different than before. And it's something we've seen in PvE, where it happens naturally where devs can embrace it, like in EVE Online. But PvE is the one place where it's just never really happened. And that means that a PvE live service ends up feeling like it's all about crossovers and license deals to drive people in, of daily events, battle passes, login bonuses, all those things to drive retention.
God, I can't take
it
all
all
these
just
serious. It
means
looks like
monetization,
shit, dude.
monetization, monetization, but done in a way that tells a player, act now or lose your chance to spend.
Act now or you don't get Beavis and Butthead, bitch.
This example shows us another way. You can still treat your players with respect. You can treat your universe with respect. You can give people reasons to return that are because your live game, your live universe is undergoing a pivotal narrative moment and is going to change. That's a reason to return that may correlate with spending, but is not about spending. That is not a time-limited store banner event. Because here's the ultimate difference. It's you being sold a world versus you being sold a product.
Yep.
Sell me on the world, I will enter your world, and maybe I will buy some products.
That's literally what I'm saying. You keep the player base around, eventually they're going to grow attached to your game, and then they're going to make their character look cool, look personalized, right? I am someone who's... I do not make any in-game skin purchases. The only time I've purchased a skin is with the free in-game credits, like in Fortnite. Like after just happening to get enough credits to do like the first thing in the battle pass, whatever, right? It's free in-game currency. Because I've not come across a game that is live service like this that has battle passes that has held me to where it's like, oh, I want to personalize my character, you know?
But when we're all talking about skins first and banners first and collabs first rather than the game experience,
100% correct.
that's when we've lost. That's when live service has consumed the game and just turned it into a cheap store. Not a case like this with Helldivers, where live service
100%.
is not a dirty word, where it's actually elevated the game. So basically, hats off to Arrowhead. I'm keen to see how they top this one next
The dude's
time.
100% right.
Another
You gotta have that player base coming to your game for fun. They stay there. They'll, you know what I mean? Because like a lot of games like Call of Duty, right? Like I'm never gonna buy a freaking skin from Call of Duty, right? Maybe I'll boot up Call of Duty every now and then, but Call of Duty is relying off like the top 1% spenders buying skins, right? Everyone else can kick rocks, eat shit, right? That's why they don't listen to their player base, right? All they care about is making the 1% skin buyers happy. Whereas like you have a game like this, you're 1%, like the peak of people spending money is going to be more rounded off when you have a community that stays there. You know what I mean? You're going to have a wider variety of people spending money on your game, even if it's just a little bit, right? But overall, I can't wait to play Helldivers 2 when it comes to Xbox. I don't think I've actually been this excited to play a game in probably like to play a new game in like literal years, right? I don't know. Just my thoughts, guys. Hope you all enjoyed. Don't forget to sub up, like, get your ticket, guys. Get on board right here. Boom. Appreciate y'all. See you at the next station. Bye-bye.